you ladies are ready, let's go ahead and start off. Stack your spine. So you've got shoulders right over hips. And sometimes even shoulders have to be kind of rolled back a little bit. And then I notice my head has this tendency to go slightly forward. So try to even bring your ears slightly back. So I almost get the feeling of, it makes me feel like a hanger, how it has that little loop. So it's almost like that's kind of what I'm doing with my chin to keep the posture just really tall. And so just let yourself have deep breaths from this really tall posture. That's why I like to sit so tall, because it opens up the lungs. So take a moment to breathe clear down into the belly. And a couple of breaths just sticking in that area. Continuing to use the belly as the first part of our breath. Start then to feel that the outer ribs start to extend outward. So first it's belly and then ribs. And then ribs come back in, and then belly's last to come back in. Take a few breaths trying to fill both of those parts. Helping our lungs become stronger just by breathing deeper than we normally do. And then the third part is all the way up to the top part of the lungs. So I think of the collarbones rising just a little bit. So still the same order, belly, then side ribs, and then collarbones extend out. Exhale, collarbones come down first, then side ribs, then belly. And let your body just take this natural rhythm, very deep breaths, a few more rounds as I start to connect this to an intention. So that way we can have a thought that we're practicing in the back of our mind. And our intention has to do with content. It's this idea that no matter what day in life you're in, fast forward to the future, rewind to the past, any day has struggles, any day has troubles, things that are easy, things that are hard. And so to me, what helps me get through the hard times is contentment. Just this idea that my life is, I'm content with it. It's no matter how great, how awful it is on any given day, I'm content because I know the general direction that I'm headed is a direction that's good for me. And contentment also deals with gratitude, just being grateful for what we already have. I'm grateful whether or not everything is perfect right now. I'm grateful for little things. I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for the health that I do have. Just filling my body and my mind with these ideas of gratitude. So that way life becomes just a little bit better. So as we move through our class, I'll remind us in different poses that we're holding to try to get into that idea of contentment and gratitude, just being happy with whatever we have. So here, let's start off with our arms at our sides. Let's grab onto a leg of the chair. Depending on where you're sitting, one might be easier than the other. And then your hand that's not grabbing on reaches up and starts to go a little bit over. It may not be very far, and if the shoulder's not happy, you can even just put it at your waist to start just simply leaning to let the side ribs go. Trying to breathe into those side lungs, as deep as the breath will go. Another good inhale. And with the exhale, start to rise. Take a breath in the center. And start to grab onto the other side so we can begin to lean. Again, if hand needs to be up or down, that's personal preference. But try to let the muscles right next to the ribs open up. Another good inhale. Exhale, rise up. Straighten one leg out in front of you. Sometimes I sit a little bit closer to the edge, so that way the muscles aren't preventing me from straightening the leg out. And then slide your hands down that leg. Notice where you feel it right now. It might be your back that's tight. It might be the muscles on the back side of the leg, the hamstrings and the calves. So just notice where you feel it and imagine sending breath directly into those tight areas. As we start to roll back up, let's give the foot a little bit of attention. So let the toes still be pulled back as you start to push the ball of the foot down. It's like we're doing pedal to the metal. And then the toes point right at the end. Toes return upright first, and then the whole foot flexes. So it's ball of the foot, and then toes. Toes return, ball of the foot returns. Just working through all those muscles. Two more of those. And then let this foot, imagine the big toe has a paintbrush and we're trying to circle the paintbrush as big of a circle as we can trace. Just go 3 circles to one direction, starting to open up some more of those muscles. And then switch it out, 3 circles to the other direction. Good. That leg that we've been working on slides wide to the side. We've got a few options here. We can just lean over this front leg. You could bring your block out in front to plant and lean forward onto, yeah, just right over there. Or you can go down to the ground. It just depends on what the muscles feel like right now. Just giving it a really good chance for the inner thigh to open. You like I'm feeling things already. And if it's ever too intense, remember you can back out. So going a little bit higher up instead. Keep the breath flowing. That's how we help the muscles relax into the stretch. Starting to work the hands back up to help our spine rise. Slide the same side hand as that straight leg down. Let's try to see if we can stretch up and over again. Again, if the shoulder's too much, just bring the hand to the waist. Otherwise, see how much you can get into those ribs again. Sometimes if the shoulder wants just a little bit more, what I do is wave the hand just slightly behind and then slightly in front of where it was. That works into different muscle groups across that shoulder. Yeah. Just the same rule as always, if it's too much, don't do it. Good. Rising back up. One more thing before we switch sides. Let's try to take that ankle up onto the other thigh, or if the thigh is too much, just set the side of the foot onto the block. That gives a chance to open up. So first, take your, I think we're all doing the same side. So left hand to the right knee, and the right hand is to the back of the chair. Taking a little twist. For me, it's getting into kind of the side of the hip area. That open. Maybe the neck gets a chance to twist as well. Good, and then return. If this is enough opening for the hip, you're welcome to just stay up nice and tall. If going forward helps it to go just a little bit deeper, that's an option as well. Only if you still need more. The bottom foot, if it goes onto the block and then you lean forward, that gives it even more. So we've got some options. You're like, that's not no pressure ever. It's kind of, yep. It's kind of like I give you A, B, or C. You get to choose. Another good breath. Drop this one down. We'll start working onto the second side. So straight leg first. And just slide down the leg. Enjoying that stretch through the back. Maybe through hamstrings. As you start to rise up, we go into the foot itself. The ball of the foot goes down and then the toes. Peel the toes back up and flex. Okay, big toe becomes the paintbrush. Do 3 large circles to one direction. And then switch it out. Good. Leg gets to go wide. And you've got your options. Maybe we're just leaning on the thigh, maybe coming down to block, or coming down to the floor. Okay, so you start to rise. You slide the same side hand as the leg down. The other arm gets to go up. And only if the shoulder still wants more, you have that option to swing it slightly backwards and slightly forwards. Okay. Rising up, the foot goes to the block or to the thigh. Take your dear sweet time. Like that's a deep stretch. Sometimes, so yin yoga is a style of yoga where, yeah, we'll take the twist in just a moment. I won't forget. Yeah. Yeah, there's a style of yoga called yin yoga where you hold poses quite a bit longer, like 3 to 5 minutes. And in that style, your muscles get pulled into such a long, deep stretch that, yeah, you cannot rush your way out at all. It's like a to just slowly come back out of it. Yeah. Like that one's almost its own meditation too. So it's like people that don't like meditating might not like that class. Take 3 more deep breaths. Try to go all the way into the belly from here. Come up, we take the twist. Sometimes when I'm in twists, I'll work on exercising the muscles of the eyes, letting them look left, right. So it's like even those little muscles are trying to be part of the twist. Good. Start to return. As we swing our arms up with the next motion, only go up to a height that's comfortable. So if it's shoulder height for you and then twist and shoulder height and twist, that's great. If you're going all the way up to the sky and then taking the twist, that's fine. Essentially, it'll be inhale and then exhale. We go down to one side. Inhale up. Exhale, second side. Just enough to start strengthening the shoulders just a bit without too much strain on anything. Helping the vertebrae also get into a space where it's willing to open. This helps to prevent any sort of fusing of the vertebrae. Let's go to each side 3 more times. Two. One. Good. I'd like to do a couple of poses behind the chair. We're going to stand right up behind it. And so first it's going to be warrior 1. To the back door, that right knee is going to be bent. Sorry, it's opposite for you. So left knee will be bent and then your right leg will be straight. Yep, just like that. This is our warrior 2. If your balance ever provides you space for it, you're welcome to take the extended arms. You've got the chair if you ever need it. We allow the left elbow to drop down. The right elbow goes to the waist or reaches. Okay, gently rising back up. Maybe warrior 2 arms. And then switch it out. The right hand drops down, left hand goes upward, more or less. Yeah, use the wall, use the chair. Good catch. Good. And back up, do a few arm circles. 5. 4. Yes, a seated version is great too. 3. You can do the same opening with the legs in warrior. 2. 1. And reverse. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Good. Let both legs straighten. Scoot back just a bit. We're going to let our forearms or our whole body lean forward just enough that you're kind of getting into the back and into the hamstrings. up. Switch the toes out, so now the right knee that's bent. The arms don't have to extend, but if they're still feeling okay, let them open back up. Feel how the breath is able to go deep, even into the side ribs. And then perhaps that right elbow can drop down to the thigh. The other arm, chair or wall is fine, but maybe it can reach up. Gentle rise back up to switch it out. Left hand down, right hand up. Good. Back up. A few more arm circles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go back. Same thing, but you can scoot your feet a little bit closer together as you move forward. And sit on the edge and just let both legs go straight. Standing up, we've got one more strengthening pose for the legs. Let the legs go a little bit wider than the edges of the chair. And all we'll do is bend the knees to squat down just a little bit and back up. Just gentle strength. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's come back up to the chair. And we'll give the legs a break for a moment. Let's bring the right arm across the body and then hook around it with the left arm. Nice shoulder stretch. Let your head look to the back door, the front door, back forward, tilt your head a little bit to the back door, back up, over to the front door, and back up, huge opening with both arms. Inhale. Exhale, left arm goes across. Around it. Let's do those head motions. Over to the front door. And back door. Forward. Tilt it to the front door. And up, over to the back door. Up, huge inhale to open. Exhale, drop your hands to the chair or even toward the, starting to get to the top of the chair. We're scooting forward enough that we can take a little back bend. So the heart gets brought forward and through. The chin really just depends on what's comfortable for the neck. So you could keep the chin tucked in if the heart goes forward, or it can be gazing up. Just whatever feels best. 3 more breaths. allow the shoulders to roll forward, up, back, and drop it down. Repeating that direction, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse it out, rolling back, up, forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Take your left knee, actually take both knees toward the back door. And then your right leg either opens a little bit more toward the mirror side or opens all the way behind you. It just depends on how your hips are right now. Good. We're just trying to make sure we're not collapsing into the inner arch. Whatever angle it's at, we're able to rotate to the outer arch, keeping that arch lifted, trying to strengthen the foot in that way. Good. So as we face directly toward the door, we start to feel our hips open for just a moment. Hands can continue to rest on that left side. Taking a moment with a twist to see if one or both hands can grab the back of your chair. Forward, and then we'll start to lean forward. So we're going to elbows on the thigh, or maybe the block under a hand, whatever lets us lean forward just a little bit. Open up the back, maybe getting in front, thigh just a little bit. Rise up, let the hips open back up to the mirror side. So if that means shifting the knees just a little bit to this forward V instead, that's great. And then from here, we can take a cycle of 3. First, we slide the right hand down the right leg, left hand up to the ribs or higher. And then over toward the elbow right after that. Yeah, so just basically going back and forth between this and this. Yeah, almost like a little seesaw, teeter totter. From here, just pause and let yourself feel the inner thighs open, whatever that means for the feet. So if that means they go wider, that's great. If you're already in a good stretch, just pause for a few more breaths. Go ahead and start stitching it out. So now that's on the bench. This one goes straight, you choose the angle. Yeah, take your time. First we're rotating. You don't have to go all the way to the door, but first we're trying to rotate a little bit more toward the bench. Yep, you're already in the twist. So let's just go all the way to the door. Nice. Start returning forward. The hips are more open to the forward part. And then we'll start to do that gentle swaying with the bent knee. one more to the bent knee. Good. And when we rise back up, pick up the knee. Let's let them both stay wide for a moment. And just a gentle pressure on the inner thigh to continue to let both thighs open. Sometimes people feel it already here. Sometimes people need to drop down to the elbows to start to feel it. So it's just wherever you feel it. Start to heel toe the feet back together. And then let's grab our block. We're gonna leave the arms straight and just let them rise up to about shoulder height and then gently down. I like to do inhales when I rise, exhales to lower. Three. 2, 1. Good. Drop the block down and just let your back have a chance to lean forward. Again, whether you're resting elbows or resting onto the block. Oftentimes when I come up, I'll kind of prop my way back up just so my low back's not having to do too much work, but let's pick the block back up. This time, the elbow can be bent to make it easier or straight to make it harder, but essentially the motion is we start forward with one hand, open to the side. When it comes back forward, we flip it into the other hand. Like a little pancake. This builds up just a little bit of strength, and obviously control the challenge. If you bring it all the way in, it's more about the mobility. If you bring it straight out, it's more about the strength. So you get to choose. This will be our last one to each side, by the way. Sometimes tendons, as they move over the bone, they kind of make that bounce sound. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and just same thing for that low back, just let it lean forward. Okay, sit back up. We can leave the block this time, sorry. I tricked you because last time I didn't. Okay, let's work with our hands for a little while. This one's especially good for you since you do so much with your hands. So what we're gonna do, touch thumbs as deep as you can, and then slowly open it all the way out as far as you can. Repeat that, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, point your finger all the way in as deep as it can go, and all the way open it up. 4, 3, 2, 1, middle, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ring, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Usually the pinky finger grabs the other fingers, but pinky as deep as it can go. and you can do it with that hand pretty much. Good. And then open. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there was, during the yoga teacher training, I have a person that's actually a physical therapist. So she taught me that the pointer finger has 2 tendons going to it, which is why you have so much control over that one. But the same tendon goes to both the ring finger and the pinky finger. So that's why the pinky finger can't really do anything on its own. It kind of just tweaks it. I know, it blew my mind when I learned it too. It's like, that's why it kind of just grabs it. Like it just can't go on its own. So yeah. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Okay, now let's do the whole hand. Flex it as far back as you can go. And then curl it in like a claw. Trying to touch all together. Yep, just like that. All open. And in. 3 more. Two. And 1. Good. Take your right hand into a stop sign and pull back on all the fingers and also the thumb. Getting it all to flex back. Okay, gentle, slow release, and then point the fingers all the way down, pull back the other way. Okay, when you release this time, start by just opening and closing the hand. And then it might feel good to roll it out. Take it a few times in each direction, a nice little circle. Sometimes even shaking it out feels good. Okay, second side, stop sign. And pull down. Open and close as you release a few times. Roll it out. Maybe shake it out. So some people have the ability to clasp their hands together behind you. Can you do that or not really? Yeah, okay. So then what you'll do is set the posture tall. And then just continue to pull the arms back. So for me, it's even just a couple of inches and I start to feel the shoulders stretch. And obviously listen to the shoulders, so not too much, but just enough that it feels like an opening. Good. And then as we release, bring your hands onto your thighs. Okay, so what we're doing is focusing mostly on the spine. Essentially, this is kind of similar to the cat-cow where you round the spine forward and backward. But as we do it, we're sliding the hands up and down the legs. You don't have to go all the way to the toes, so it could just be past the knees. as you round, or you can go all the way down. And then as you slide back up like a train track, stop at the top of the thigh and continue to let the heart go forward. So just slowly going back and forth, and seriously no rush, but slowly into the rounded position. And then slowly roll it up, or you arch. Just leaving the hands on the knees, let's take 3 more, but just solidified from this spot. So heart forward, just however deep it'll go from here. And then rounding back, however deep it can go. 2. And 1. Sitting back up tall, let's get into a few more stretches for the neck. What we're going to do is a half pipe that people stayed on. We're going to imagine that our jaw is tracing a half pipe. So it might not even be very big of a half pipe, but kind of letting it go up one side and then chin down to the chest to the bottom, and then tilting up the other part of the rounded pipe. And you can go super slow, especially if it's hitting good spots. You can even pause in an area where it feels really good before eventually progressing on. And then the next time the chin's back down to the chest, just let it stay at the back of the neck. Get that stretch just by releasing down to grab it. Start scooting the nose over toward the right armpit like you're trying to smell it. And then this, I know, it starts to get into a muscle right up toward the base of the neck. So if you need a little bit more, you can take the right hand and rest it on the back of the head. But if you're already feeling that muscle, just right, that connects basically right up to the back side of the skull on that left side, that's what we're trying to do. Roll the chin back down to the chest. And then work it over toward the other armpit. Moving into the muscles, this time on the back right part. And then as we release, bring it right back down to chest again. Take a few more breaths here. And sometimes stillness feels the very best here, and sometimes it's nice to do just almost like you're making the shape of saying no. And you're just tilting it left and right. But stillness sometimes is the very best, getting into those long muscles. Good. And eventually the head rises. We're gonna tilt the head up, not to crunch the bones on the back, but to stretch the fleshy tissue on the front. So what I do is I tilt up just a little bit, but it's more about the jaw jutting forward. And it's like I get to stretch the thyroid out right there. Good, and return the head back to neutral. And from here, we've got just a few more minutes. So we're gonna twist to one side. Just let the whole side get another chance to just kind of open up. Sometimes I get a good pop, not always. Good, and then the other side. Okay, and as we return forward, I'd like us to just go through a little massage for our hands. So use your left hand first, and then your right hand. I usually work on the thumb. Imagine dividing the base of the palm into thirds. So 1/3 is that whole section that's by the thumb. The next section is the long, skinny part at the edge, and then the third part is right along, like right by the knuckles. So pick one of those thirds and take a moment to either do circles or long strokes, whatever feels best through that area. And then move on to the second third, whichever you'd like. And sometimes I feel really tender spots. So if you happen to find any of those, feel free to pause there for an extra moment. Even if I move on, you can still pause, that's okay. And then eventually to the third. And then before we move completely on to the other hand, what we're gonna do, start your thumb at like this base of the palm right there, and then we're just gonna slowly inchworm all the way down each finger. So maybe start with the thumb or another finger. And I like to give it a little squeeze right at the very tip of the finger. And then go on to the second finger, just kind of inchworm the way down. To progress. Maybe we're on to the third. Fourth. Yeah, sometimes you're able to readjust the hand. Eventually fifth. You're ready. Feel that whole hand open and close, just feeling nice and relaxed for this moment. Okay, now right hand deserves its turn. So taking 1/3. And another. Probably the teachers here. And onto the third. Forearms working is what you said? Oh, Oren, yeah. So he has the day off of his actual work, but there was a person that Wes referred him to that they wanted him to do a side job, so he went over to that one day. So yeah. Yep, and then start working on the fingers whenever you finish. Yeah. Exactly. He's one that wouldn't naturally on his own, so. Keep on progressing. I'm probably on my fourth finger, so I don't know where you're at, but okay, good. Okay, sounds good. Yep, open and close. Maybe shake too. The one that works actually has to work quite a bit to get that massage going. But, and then just rest it on the thighs. And we'll take just about 30 seconds or so just to breathe again, connecting with that idea of contentment. And create a list for yourself, a couple of things, at least 5 things that make you very content or even grateful about life right now. deep breath in. We'll join our hands together in front of our heart. Just wrapping up this time we got to share together. That's what makes me content for sure. But wrapping up this wonderful time, and I'd like to wish you light and happiness and peace as we move forward. Namaste.